What year did you start your breeding?
Well, so it's 2021, so we started this breeding back 6 years ago, 6 to 7, after almost 30-year-old stop on breeding. So I didn't start breeding. I picked up a breeding that was not existing for the last 30 years. That was Maria's father's breeding, Fernando Casquinha, based on José Henrique's Casquinha breeding, as a promise to him when he was dying in the hospital.
And with which horses did you start then, 6 years ago?
Well, 6 years ago, I hadn't the faintest idea of how to breed and what to breed. I had the bloodlines I liked, like Vega and Andrade, and I even didn't think about Casquinha at the time. And when Maria's father in the hospital said if I could bring the breed back, he told me, please, if you don't mind, you can breed my breed back. And the bloodlines are this. And the bloodlines were Vega Maltese, Hervideira, and Vega, which is Andrade, Firm. Firm was his dream horse, as a Lusitano should be, for the bloodline.
And the names of these horses?
Well, I had at the time when I made my promise, I had Arsenio Raposo Cordeiro horse named Grito. He was son of Boato. Boato is a horse by João Pedro Rodrigues, full brother to Aoto, a very famous horse that was with Pedro Torres in working equitation and so on. And I ended up, before meeting Maria, having this horse. And I had the horse, and it was not, I can say it was not a horse that Mr. Fernando would say, I agree on this horse. Because Mr. Fernando had a very, very peculiar and very narrow idea of the Lusitano horse. But we started with Grito, because Grito was not punctuated even, and the main focus was the mares, because Mr. Fernando said regarding breeding, 80% comes out of the mare. And as he started his as the burst of his breeding came with Firm, he wanted a mare as close to Firm. And I was lucky to find Chilema, which is daughter out of horse called Numerário, by the breeding of a Portuguese bullfighter, Master Oliveira. And he does bullfighting. He's in Germany also, I think, giving classes. And this mare particularly was daughter of Numerário and granddaughter of Novilheiro. Novilheiro de Manel Vega, as everybody knows, son of Firm. Okay, the three main horses in the Lusitano are Novilheiro, Nilo, and Opus, which came a year later. All of those three daughters of Firm. But as I said on the last sentence, the mares are very important, and there's a particular mare I like to call every time because nobody speaks about her. It's Garrita. Garrita was a Vega mare that shaped the Lusitano, and was mother of for example, of Opus.
And where is your breeding located?
Our breeding is located in Vila Franca de Xira. I wish it was in Gulagan, where we have our other house, but at the moment we're still not in Gulagan, but I'm working with my wife Maria Casquinha to move to Gulagan. Someday maybe we will, because I think Gulagan is the center of the Lusitano world, is the center of the horse world, and it's the center of the world.
Do you have all the animals on the same place?
Yes, I normally say that unfortunately after Maria's father stopped with the breeding and the agriculture side, and when he retired due to illness 30 years ago, he sold the lands he had on the other side of the river. He just kept the farms, and that's why I say we have an origami breeding. You know, our space, we breed in 2 hectares, you know, and that's why we keep our mares our mare group is 2, and I'll open it for 3 if all goes well, and because I have to sort out the space for the horses. Well, I'm not breeding, I'm just origamiing Lusitanos.
How do you handle the training of your horses?
Well, it's much easier now since I retired, but normally I do everything here. Maria helps me. I mark, I ride. I work the horses. I keep the horses with the mothers until they're 6, 7 months. Then I win them out of the mothers, and then I put them 3 months on the boxes, and I handle them as a grown-up horse. Then they go back to the field, and then I work my way off with the space I have to control, with being on paddocks, being on the field, and then coming home in the end of the day, because I don't have a big space, and I have to origami myself with the space I have.
And what do you find so fascinating about the Lusitano horse?
Well, the Lusitano is the oldest saddle horse in the world. I mean, the Romans and the Greek cavalry would come from Lusitania. In Lusitania, on those days, were a little bit of Portugal, a little bit of Spain. You know, you'd catch up Andalusia, a little bit, the south, and the difference, I think the difference between the Lusitano and the Spanish horse, although they're cousins, it's on the 16th century when the Armbogs came to occupy the Spanish throne. They stopped the bullfighting, and they started to breeding the Spanish horse on a certain level. Then we did not, because we kept on bullfighting. And I think the keeping of the bullfighting, which was something that we would do, the noblemen would do outside the war periods, to keep on the focuses and the maneuverability, the how do I call it, the dance. The best term that I can rephrase myself is the dance of the Lusitano, was outside of the war practicing with bulls. So that's why we kept on the bullfighting, and I think that the only difference between our horse and the Spanish horse is that our horses dance better. And why did I choose the Lusitano? Actually, my first horse was an Arabian. I keep the Lusitano because I'm also Lusitano, and it flows in the blood. And the dogs are Lusitanos, and I'm Lusitano, and the horses are Lusitano. And I prefer to ride on a Portuguese saddle than on a normal so-called English saddle, so to speak.
And with which brood mares and stallions do you breed in the moment?
Well, first of all, I promised to Maria's father one thing: to go back to the bloodline that he started, and I went back 60 years. In both lines he used. Line 1, Vega Maltese, the other line, Hervidera. Hervidera is a very old bloodline, as well as Vega Maltese. As you know, Vega Maltese, cousin to Mr. Manuel Vega, so the brood mares also on the Vega side come from the same place. And if it was not for the Vega family and the Vega Maltese family, the Lusitano would not be the Lusitano today. And the reason is because they didn't went on to fashions, which is something that you can see happening now. And there's always fashions. There was a breeder that said fashions will always be. There was fashions on the 20s, on the 30s, on the 40s, and now on. Fashions are always there, but you have to focus on one thing. And I think for me the most important thing is to keep up my promise. And keeping up my promise with the bloodlines from Firme, from Agareno, from Bailador, and I'll say Firme Andrade, Bailador Manel Veiga, Agareno Manel Veiga, and Kimono Alcubia. That is my breeding, it comes from my blood, what I think a Lusitano should be. But you have to adapt, because I work, and I'm not 100% in horse breeding. That's why I only have 2 mares. You have to sell, of course, to keep your dream alive, and I had to open up to certain things. And now, for example, the Portuguese breed is going on another direction, and I want to follow that direction, but keep it as classical as I can. So, and how did I manage this? I picked up a horse from a breeder I like, and it's doing a brilliant work. This is not advertising. This is Antonio Leixo. I got Napoleon, and Napoleon I think brings something new to the breed. It brings what now people have, you know, the so-called dressage Lusitano, the sport. Like a breeder I admire a lot is Vasco Freire. He's doing a brilliant work, because we have to adapt. And if you don't adapt, you die. And first there was the horse, then the automobile, and then whatever. I used to see, you know, my grandfather, his TV was for the entire life. And now we change a TV set every 2 years or every year. And I think the horse is going to go that way. It's going to go to the client. Okay, but I think that there is two types of breeder. The breeders who are living of it, and fortunately the breeders like me that can do it as a hobby and can focus on this thing. But seeing the whole atmosphere and seeing the horses that I sold at the moment now, and for instance, foreign customers, they want color. In the old days, you don't write color. You don't write color, you don't write size. A horse is not that size, that color, that shape. A horse is good or is bad. That's the only 2 things on a horse. Or is good or is bad. But now people, they want size. So I had to get horses for customers, because I have to sell horses, to be honest. I cannot keep myself to just breed for me. In the end, now I have 10 for me, and next year I'll have 20 for me, and that is not possible. So I decided to go on a sort of actual bloodline, but as classical as I can get. So that's where Napoleon walks in, and I have Parzival, which is the last son, Parzival from Arsenio Raposo Cordeiro, which is the last son of Navalheiro, and is a Lusitano like they were. It's an actual Lusitano. He's 2 years old, but he's the grandson of Opus. So we're talking about old bloodlines and a typical Lusitano. And what I'll manage now is I'll try to do what I like, and unfortunately I have to do a bloodline, a fashion bloodline, if you call it. Okay, so I have to be Coco Chanel, and I have to be Yves Saint Laurent, but I also have to be the new fashion designer. That's all coming to terms with it. Because I have people from foreign people that come here, and the first thing they ask is color. And for me, this is, I told this verse once. I use this word a lot because I learned it in a film. It's Ohmud. For me, that's Ohmud. You know, a horses are good or bad. You cannot buy. Oh, you see ads. Even Portuguese people now. I want a horse taller than 165, or I want this color and I want that color, and I fully understand that. But and that's why I have to have a mare that will produce this product to sell. But what I'm breeding, I try to breed for me. If I sell the horses that I bred for me, that's out of the it's a dream come true. But regarding the thing, I keep my focus always on the old days, on the Lusitano horse.
Perfect.